Hello, my name is Haley. For those who don't know me, I am a former gestational carrier, also known as a surrogate, which means that I was pregnant and carried a baby through delivery for somebody else. That was completely unrelated to me. This is my husband, Chad, and we're just going to go ahead and answer some really common questions that a lot of people get when they're couples pursuing surrogacy from his perspective as my husband. So, ready to get into it?
Yep, I'm ready.
So, babe, how did you feel when I first told you I wanted to be a surrogate?
You know, honestly, at first I had like no hesitation in being supportive. I was surprised it even came up because there was no previous conversations about it. I know your sister used to be a surrogate.
So we do have 2 children of our own. So that's an obvious requirement to be a surrogate, is you have to have had at least one child, healthy delivery, pregnancy. So we have 2 kids of our own.
Yeah.
So I introduced him to the idea of, I want to be a surrogate. And what was your initial reaction?
I literally said, okay, if that's what you want to do.
You had no concerns.
I didn't have any initial concerns
So
at that moment.
if you're anything like me, you're going to be well informed. I had done a lot of research. He mentioned my sister was a surrogate. So we had a little bit of an idea what a surrogate was. But funny story why I shared this is we were watching Friends. Friends is our favorite show. Phoebe's the surrogate. So you have an idea of what it is, but sometimes people don't realize that surrogacy is not just for, the wealthy, rich and famous, celebrities, people that you see on TV. It's a real thing that people do. So my husband, of course, he's very supportive. I hope anyone who's pursuing surrogacy has a very supportive partner like I do. But yeah, he was extremely supportive. And going to the next question, what were your concerns if you had any?
So your previous pregnancies were actually pretty great. So
thankfully, yes.
That part didn't worry me. When you informed me of like all the medication that you'd be taking and the hormones, obviously I got a little worried with that just because
pregnancy hormones are, an interesting time.
Yeah, I like you to be happy and healthy and
of course.
And who knows where that would have led. But overall, I don't think I had too many concerns about the whole process.
Also I would say because I was so well researched, I would say anyone who is thinking about becoming a surrogate and their spouse is, or their partner is a little bit, reserved about the idea, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. You're going to have a lot of questions. But if you kind of, have your reason, and I gave him a really good reason of why I wanted to be a surrogate.
I actually, thinking back, there was one more concern. It was how much did I have to be involved? Because this might not be for everybody because, I'm in the military. And I thought, am I going to be able to fulfill my end of what I needed to do?
Like how involved you have to be as a spouse for a surrogate?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually on here. That's a really common question people ask is how involved do you have to be as the spouse of someone who is going to be a surrogate?
Not as much as you think it would be. I'll tell you that right now. Like when you finally told me everything that I would need to do, I was like, oh, that's
so like
super
some of the ways he was involved, like just basic involvement outside of being supportive of just being my partner, but I would say you were very participative in the match meeting. So
yes.
When you're a surrogate, you're going to meet intended parents. You are matched with them virtually, especially if you're going through an agency, and he was on that call. So he got to meet the intended parents at the same exact time that I did, so they can see who we are as a couple. It's not just me. He's going to be with me the entire time. As well as like signing consent forms, which wasn't really that much.
No, basically I signed maybe a couple signatures saying, yeah, I'd give blood and yes, I would, not have any other sexual partners throughout this time.
Which obviously is essentially to protect me and the baby because whoever you are, intimate with during a pregnancy can affect your health if you're not being careful. So that is something that you participated in. He did have to do some lab work. It wasn't very much though.
No, it was a couple blood draws and I think that was the only requirement.
Right. And it could probably vary between fertility clinics, but I'm pretty sure the basic blood draw that they test is like HIV and then
I was like 3 small vials.
That's pretty much it. Just to make sure you don't have any like sexually transmitted diseases that can carry over to me as a surrogate. Of course, you don't want to pass that to the baby. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I was just reading a comment on there. And what else? You did a background check. Too easy. You just signed a little consent form. What about your involvement with me on a personal level? Like, share your experience.
So that was a lot, but that was because I chose to. You know, having a baby and being pregnant is like hard enough for, you know, a female, and as a husband, like you should want to be 100% supportive, like have their back 100% of the time. So, you know, there were some times. Would you say it
was any different from our own pregnancies? Not, of course, it's a different journey in itself. It is for another family. It's so planned. It's different. We're not buying, we're not buying cribs and car seats. We're not picking out names.
Yeah.
As far as though supporting me through the pregnancy, he was always just there for me. You were always there. If I had a craving, if I needed a foot massage.
Need someone to pick you up for a little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're emotional. You're pregnant. It doesn't matter whose baby it is. You're pregnant. And I think that's an awesome thing that you were for me, is that like rock through the whole thing, with all of our pregnancies.
When we first started, I told her, you know, you could do whatever you choose. I'm with it, and I will have your back and support you 100% of the way, 100% of the time. And I lived that through the entire process. I will say that
So a lot of time I get asked as a surrogate, were you able to be in the room, the delivery room with me?
Yes, I was actually, and it was awesome because, yeah, again, if you don't have any connection to the baby, especially as the spouse.
No biological
connection. Well, no, for me, like, yeah, it was cool. Like, you were pregnant with a baby, like it was somebody else's, and I thought that was still really awesome. But like, I didn't have. It was a very different but awesome experience.
Yeah.
Still being there next to her while she gave birth,
yeah.
holding her hand and
cry.
coaching her through it.
I loved our delivery. It was so awesome because he was there the entire time.
Yep.
And the intended parents got to be. We were very lucky with that. So everyone, it was me, of course, giving birth, my husband right next to me, and both the intended parents of the baby. And then what about like when it was over? We kind of just went into that. What was your overall feeling when it was all over?
So I was very grateful because you were okay, the baby was okay, like the family was happy. Everything basically went as it should have. And you know what? In the beginning, I think this is going to turn out really well. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of just a huge feeling of gratitude. Like, thank goodness everybody's okay. Everybody got through it, and we helped because like I am involved emotionally to like support you. So I'm like, hey, we did something really good for another family.
It was definitely a team effort. I could not have done it without you. I really don't think I could have. Any pregnancy, it doesn't matter if it's a surrogacy pregnancy. Pregnancy can be very emotional. It's emotional time. Yeah. So having that partner support. Would you say it, like, I don't want to say changed me, but did you see like a difference in?
So I will say like
fulfillment? Because I know how I feel, but just from your perspective, what did you notice?
I would say personal growth on like both ends. Like, you had a lot of growth personally, and so did I. But I think the best benefit of that was we've been together for over 14 years and been married for over 8. So it's kind of a big deal to say at this point in our relationship, we grew like a lot together.
Yes.
So our relationship has grown so much, and I feel like our relationship is in the best state it's ever been in.
We're
so I think that's pretty
together.
cool.
We parent our own too.
Yeah.
And then to have this responsibility of we're not gonna parent, but we're gonna go through this entire pregnancy for someone else that doesn't have what we have. Definitely brought us closer.
Yeah, definitely brought us closer.
And then, do you have any advice for anyone who's going to be pursuing a journey? Let's talk to married couples because, even if you're not married, just anyone who's going through a surrogacy journey and is not single, who is a partner, someone that would take on your role, like what you did for me. So
I guess my advice would be, if they decide they want to do it, just let them. Like, it's just let them. Yeah, no, seriously.
So they were a little bit concerned with how involved do I have to be, I will say you're in the military and somehow we still pulled it off.
Yeah, very, very easily when it came to my involvement, to be honest.
You're involved, but you're not, like on paper, like you said, it's not that much that you have to
if you so get that information, because every agency does things differently, and every surrogacy clinic. Get that information if you are worried about that. Like, what exactly am I going to have to be involved in? What are my obligations as the partner?
Which you will know all ahead of time, thankfully. It's not like you're guessing.
But yeah, receive that information before you dismiss it. It would be my advice. And then also, treat it like your wife is pregnant with your own baby, so that
when it comes to supporting,
you commit to the support. Yes, you have to commit to that support. Like every day when you wake up, and throughout the entire day, even if you're not physically present right next to her, do what you can to put a smile on her face, and do what you can to make her day a little bit to a whole lot better. Something that I love that you said all through my pregnancy as a surrogate.
When anyone maybe would be like, is it different? Is it weird? And we're like, weird? No, never. Different? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you're my wife and you're pregnant. It doesn't matter how you got pregnant or who whose baby it is. That sounds funny for anyone who's just coming
how you got pregnant
as a surrogate. How I got pregnant, obviously, is through IVF.
Yeah.
I always, just to top that off, yes, your partner is not going to be as well as you are not going to be. It's the same thing. Neither of us were genetically related to the surrogate baby that I carried, because I did get pregnant using an embryo from another couple, and then we transferred the embryo through IVF. So we got all of those questions. So anyone who has any reservations or concerns about, your role as a support system for a surrogate, I hope that this video is helpful to you.
I hope so too, because I definitely thought things were going to go differently. It went better than I thought.
Yeah, we just have all great things to say. So good luck to you, and thanks for watching.